The Consumer Goods Council of South Africa has penned an open letter to President Cyril Ramaphosa ahead of the State of the Nation address tomorrow. In it, the Business Lobby Group, which is an industry association representing retail and manufacturing member companies, says in the letter that it is alarmed and dismayed by the levels of load shedding which we are all having to endure over the past decade, and which we have escalated catastrophically in recent months. The Council also says the deterioration of the country's essential infrastructure, including water, rail and policing, are making life unbearable, with thousands of businesses in a state of difficulty. Zinhle Tyikwe is CEO of the Council, and she joins us now. Zinhle, thank you very much for your time this evening. We've heard how many companies, many companies have spent hundreds of millions of rands paying for diesel to keep lights on and keep operating. You say in the letter that as business you have maintained operations and supply chains so far by using emergency power, but this is unsustainable, and you are saying this will ultimately lead to consumers paying more for goods.
Yes, thank you very much, and good afternoon to your listeners. Definitely, it is the plight that the industry is currently going through. I mean, we as a sector, we as CGCSA, we represent large manufacturers, quick service restaurants, retailers, distributors, and these are big contributors to the South African GDP. And they have maintained their operations through this emergency usage of generators, which uses diesel. And, and we cannot really sustain this because, and I'll give you an example. I mean, your previous guests were talking about the results that our members have shared. Shoprite have already announced that they have spent more than 560 million in the last 6 months due to diesel. Pick n Pay, they're saying 60 million a month. And we have done an exercise within the organization with our members just in a short space of time to just compare the increase of the usage of diesel from September last year to January, mid-January this year. And that indicated that from a liters perspective, it has gone up 8 times. And from a cost perspective, it had gone up 9.5, nearly 10 times. So this is a huge cost that businesses have to bear, which they are not supposed to. I mean, electricity is a responsibility of government. They need to provide all of us as the citizens of the country with this power. And if now businesses have to take this responsibility and ensure that for them to be able to have sustainable businesses, it's a huge responsibility and a huge cost for them. And it does impact supply chain efficiencies.
Zinhle, another scary thought which is contained in your letter, which you say could become a reality if this crisis continues. You are saying that you will not be able to guarantee stable food supplies, medicines and other essential goods.
Yes. It's unfortunate and it's a scary thought for real, because we feed South Africans, as I indicated who my members are, and we ensure that we employ these South Africans as well, as we employ about 20% of the workforce in South Africa. And, if supply chain cold chain is broken and it's not sustainable, because you need power and you have to use emergency powers like generators and thermal refrigerators. At some point, if a manufacturer is unable because their factory is down for 4 hours and they're unable to produce the goods that they need to, and then in the next 4 hours, they have to restart the factory again, because members are saying it takes 4 hours to restart the factory, because in that 4 hours, another load shedding schedule is coming into play. So it does do a lot of disruption, and you cannot then guarantee that you will find these products at the point of sale or in the shelves. So it's a huge concern, and we have been doing this. And why we wrote the open letter is we wanted to make sure that government cannot just accept or expect this business to continue providing these services at this additional cost and without strain. And government needs to be aware and say we cannot continue to do this, and it's going to be a huge strain for our members.
Your letter actually sounded as if you feel there is no sense of urgency within government about solving this problem of load shedding, which has been with us for close to 15 years. But you've also put forward some suggestions in terms of interventions that the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, should consider between today and the time that he delivers his SONA. Take us through those interventions that you think could resolve the problem in the long or short term.
Okay, definitely. We feel that the suspension of the fuel duty levy and as well as the RAF, which is Road Accident Fund, will serve us good for the members, because we are using generators who are using diesel, who are paying these levies, which are for vehicles that are on the road. And if we are using for generators, they're not on the road, why are we continuing to pay these levies for, especially with RAF, as well as the fuel duty? Other industries already are getting this benefit. The mining, the fisheries, the farming, and we have engaged government, and they had said through a NETLEC process, they have said these are primary sectors that they are. But we feel that as businesses, if they can extend, they have already systems in place, they can extend this benefit to us as South Africans and as South African businesses, so that if you are using a generator, you get that benefit. That's the first part. We want to comment on the huge infrastructure issues, the deterioration of essential infrastructure that we are experiencing. My members, retailers, as well as manufacturers, quick service restaurants and distributors are on the road all the time. They're struggling with the potholes that we're experiencing. Municipalities are unable to maintain services. If you are a food producing organization or a retailer, you need water to make sure that you maintain food safety as well as food security. Because if you do not have this, these basic infrastructural services, it's a huge cost. We have been engaging with municipalities and a number of municipalities that we have engaged in, and they are literally struggling to make ends meet. And they have given us a long list of projects that they're unable to fund themselves, and they're looking to business to fund. And I think in our letter we do say that if we were to fund these infrastructural projects, we want to make sure that there is rebates and incentives, for tax incentives that are going to be guaranteed to business, so that if we want to assist municipalities from an infrastructural project, we get that benefit.
Zinhle Tyikwe is the CEO of the Consumer Goods Council of South Africa. Thank you very much for your time this evening, Zinhle. Of course, that letter also mentioning that we take our responsibility to feed and sustain the nation very seriously, and we work tirelessly night and day to produce food. And what is happening right now is that businesses are actually dying.